Hello, namaste, or adab. Welcome to our first live of 2023. Fiction is that genre of literature which takes imagination and creativity to another level. This is what our today's author, Mubarak Sandhu, has portrayed through his two books, Boris, The Last Qahn Alive, and its sequel, Boris and the Stealth of Almus. So let me tell you a little more about him. Mubarak Sandhu completed graduation in mechanical engineering and worked in the same profession for more than 2 years. His journey from being an engineer to entrepreneur and now an author is quite interesting. His first novel was published in July 2021, and since then, there's no looking back. So let's meet this dynamic and multi talented man and know more about him. Hi, Mubarak. Good evening and welcome to our show.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
It's great to have you on our show, Mubarak, and I've been seeing you from quite some time. You are a very hardworking professional. So it is something, we are really looking forward to talk to you about and really looking forward to get some inspiration from you to stay positive in life because I've seen that positive thing in you that you're always positive, always smiling, always, ready to take up the challenges. So it's really nice to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for starting with such nice words. Thank you.
Okay, Mubarak, there's a lot, that we want to know about you, but you can say it's a ritual. It's a mandatory question that we ask each and every author is that we want to know about their writing journey. So how did it start? When did it start? And when did you, realize that you want to be an author? You can write all these books, such interesting and fiction-based books. So please share that with us.
Well, ma'am, the journey goes really, really long back. I was in fourth or fifth standard, I believe. At that time, there was an interview going on television, and I just asked my father randomly that how to become a writer. The interview was of a prominent writer in those times. So my father, in a very, very casual way, he said it is not something that you can learn from someone. So writing is something which is innate, and if you have the strength to write, with time you will realize, with time you will build it up, with time you'll come to know that you can be a writer. So it is not something that I or someone else can teach you. So
Right,
it
that's a
somehow stuck
wonderful
at the back of my mind. That somehow I am a very very curious person. So that curiosity built up right away, and I started writing articles, short poems, and as a kid, of course, we can understand what sort of writing that must have been.
yeah.
So now, when I look back at those writings, that was all just that erupted out of that curiosity and that will to write. Like, I was surprised, I was shocked at the same time, and as a kid, I couldn't understand it. What is something that can't be taught? We are going to schools, we have family, we have everyone around, we have our seniors. There is so much guidance available, but still, why can't someone teach me to write? So I started writing. So as
Right.
a kid, I kept on writing in school days, and then when I shifted to college, I started sharing some of my poems and articles with my friends, and they really liked it. So I started polishing my writing skills. And then in around 2014, 2015, I met someone who guided me that I can be a freelance content writer as well. So at that
Okay.
time, I was working as a mechanical engineer in Mohali here. So then I started taking up articles, projects for writing. And then again, after 1 or 2 years, someone suggested me that you can be a ghostwriter and write a novel for someone. Someone wants to write a novel, and that person is not a writer. If you want to write a novel for that person, you can try. And
Right.
so I started discussing that with one of my friends who is in New Zealand, Jasdeep. So he just floated an idea that if someone has asked you to write a novel for someone, why can't you write a novel for your own self?
For your own.
So we discussed a few things, and he is a very energetic person as well, very positive, and he floated this idea that we can create a kind of a story which starts from this specific kingdom and it moves on related to a character. So we discussed a few things, and again, Mr. Curious, I just couldn't lay myself back on this idea. So I started writing in 2015 on this very story. I completed this story after 5 years in 2020,
Okay.
and it took one more year to sort things out, to get it edited, proofread, and then to get it published. So then in 2021, I got my first book published, and then last year, after about 1.5 years of that first book, its sequel was also released. So yes, the journey has been very interesting. It has been really, it started way back, but at that time, it just started as a random, curiosity that I want to try writing as well. So with time, it developed, and it has brought me here as an internationally published author. So yes, I'm thankful to God with every breath, and God has been really kind to me.
That's lovely. That's quite an inspiring journey that you've shared with us. And I guess your first book is also translated in Punjabi as well.
Yes, it was translated in Punjabi, and it was released in February last year, February 2022.
Okay. So that's wonderful. Like from small child who just started, or tried to attempt something in written form and to an accomplished author. So I think your journey is quite inspiring and it's going to motivate others also to write for themselves. That was a very good advice that your friend gave you, that why do you want to write for others? Write for yourself as well.
Yes, I am blessed to have such friends, such closely related, associated friends, and then obviously family members and colleagues and anyone who is related to me. I believe there's no one who has ever misguided me. So I've always got
That's
very,
great.
very good guidance from everyone, and I get very positive vibes from everyone. So I am just blessed. That's what I can say.
That's lovely. Okay, Mubarak, I also want to know that though you have shared a little about this, that you chose fiction because your friend also suggested it, but was there any other reason also that you chose fiction for your novels, both the novels?
Yes, for the first novel, there was not any particular reason. The idea just got generated out of a random discussion, casual discussion. And then we took it seriously. I took it more seriously and I started following it and I wrote a book on it. But then otherwise, there are things in real life as well for which I'm really curious and which I deeply observe. I'm a nature lover. I sit in the lap of nature and I observe a lot of things. And that has been reflected in my book itself. There's a character by the name of Otham. He looks at the signs of nature and he creates a picture out of them that what he predicts the future on the basis of the signs of nature. What is happening in
Okay.
nature today, he predicts the future according to those signs. So I observe nature. I believe nature talks to us. So fiction is not the only thing on which I remain restricted. I write on a lot of things. My blog is about positivity, mubaraksandhu.com. I write a lot of things on my blog as well. And then there are a lot of positive things related to real life as well, which I share on my social media as well. So there are a lot of things which I keep writing consistently. Fiction is not the only thing on which I remain restricted.
Well, that's wonderful, Mubarak. That's the you can say the zone that a writer opens for himself. He's not restricted to just one particular genre, or you can say one particular thing which he feels comfortable. He is exploring more and more zones as a writer as well. So that's really wonderful. So
Yes, I believe it is a kind of challenge as well. It
yeah.
is easy to write about a particular genre. It's easy to write about a particular field. As a freelance content writer, I have written about medical issues. I have written about computer programming languages. Although I am a mechanical engineer, I know nothing about Java, C++, Python, anything. But I have written articles on them. So it is a kind of challenge when we step out of our comfort zone,
Yeah.
and that is what I love to do. I don't like to be in my comfort zone, so I always step out of my comfort zone. I try new things, and anything that is challenging is what I love to do.
That's great. And once you step out of the comfort zone, the success is there waiting for you. It's never there in the comfort zone, it's always outside that zone.
Yes, it is a very hard thing to do, but we have found it the hard way, I believe. So I found it the hard way. Yes, success has come really hard. I have never been in my comfort zone. Honestly, I love to be out of my comfort zone. I love to face challenges. I love to face new things, new issues, new hardships, everything. because that is what teaches us. That teaches
Yeah,
us a lot of things.
absolutely. They are the learning lessons for us. Okay, Mubarak, let's start with the first part that you have written, the first novel that has come up. So, when you were writing that story, was it there in your mind that you will be, you will have a sequel also of that, or while weaving the story, it just came automatically?
It actually came automatically because, as I told you already, the idea of this particular book, the idea of this story, it came out of general discussions. So it was not something really planned because it
Right,
because it seemed good enough to be executed. I started writing, and then when I was writing it, because at the same time there are a lot of things that I was taking care of. I was running a music production house. I was running an event management company in those years. So between 2015 and 2020, there were 3 to 4 tasks that I was doing simultaneously, two companies, and then working as a freelance content writer as well. And then there are
right.
a lot of things that we have to do at home as well. There are a lot of responsibilities, and then alongside, focusing on this novel as well. So it is not really easy to do, and that's the reason it took 5 years to complete. And COVID came up as a much needed break because that is the time, lockdown is the time when I was able to focus and I was able to complete the story. So this is not something, so because it erupted out of those discussions, I just carried on with it. And the book went well. I believe the plans were not that, initially the plans were not streamlined, I would say. But yes, once I started writing about it, the plans were streamlined with time, and then as the story moved on, I started building the characters. And then towards the end, I realized that it is a good enough story to be broken into 3, 4 parts at least. So for the last chapter, I saved one particular character. So he's the only character who remains alive in the first novel. And in the last chapter, he says, I'll be back for the revenge. So that was the base of my next story. So the next story is about the same character. And the second part still ends, it's an open ended conclusion of the second part as well. So third part
Okay.
will be coming.
Wow, that's lovely. And when you were choosing or when you were deciding on these characters, so was there any source of inspiration when you were creating them? Was there something at the back of your mind that, this way I'm going to create this character? And, like maybe any other example was there around you and you just picked up that, the nature of that person and put it up there in your character? Any kind of inspiration when while creating or sketching the characters?
Well, at that time, there was no particular inspiration. But once I have completed the story, so I will differentiate between intentional and unintentional feelings over here, because at the back of our mind, we have impact of a lot of social things that are
Yes.
happening around us. Everything that is
Right.
happening around us in the society, at our home, everywhere, there is an impact on our mind. Intentionally, I did not create any character or storyline according to reality. But then there are a lot of people who have read it and they share the same thing with a different perspective with me. They ask me that this
Okay.
particular character seems like something has happened in your life related to this.
They could
So
connect
there
it
was,
with someone else.
yes, and because I have written it as from a writer's point of view, readers read it from their point of view, and
Yeah.
those who know me personally, they know about a lot of things that are happening in life. So there are a lot of different kind of reviews that I got, and a few reviews were really, really connected to reality, which was not my intention to write at that time. But now, when I read those particular lines or chapters again, I also feel the same. So that is the difference.
Right.
I didn't really write it getting inspired from someone, but that was actually inspired by whatever was happening around me.
So somewhere it was there in the subconscious mind and it came there in the book as well.
Yes, yes, yes.
So when you were, going through all these characters, was there any particular character which actually gave you a happy space, and any other character that made you felt little tired as a, writer? That it was taking a lot of your emotions or, a lot of your time and energy was, too much there into creating that character.
There's this character named Otham, as I mentioned earlier. So he looks at the signs of nature and he predicts the future accordingly. He's blessed with it, with that power. But uh, this particular character, Otham, responds to all sorts of questions in the form of poems. Now, just imagine you are asking
Okay.
me a question and I have to answer everything appropriately, very relevant to your question, using rhyming words in the form of a poem. How difficult it would be. It will be very
Yeah.
interesting. It will be very, very interesting. But at the
Interesting
same
for the
time,
readers to read it out, but for the writer, of course, it might be taking a lot of toll on his,
yes,
thoughts and
exactly.
the process.
So this he's the character which I believe even better than the lead character. Boris is the main character of this book,
Boys.
but Otham is someone I really connect to this person, and I love to write poetry as well. And with the help of this character, I have utilized my strengths to write poems as well, because he responds to all the questions in the form of poems. And at the
Hmm.
same time, I am a nature lover. I love to observe signs of nature. He's the same character. He loves to observe the signs of nature and he tries to predict what might happen in future. That's what nature is telling me. So
Right.
I connect to this character a lot, and I would say I felt tired writing about him. But at the same time, yes, it took a lot more time to write about this particular character because these were not just general answers that he was giving. These were poems
Right.
relevant to a specific question that has been asked. So it really took a lot of time.
But then you only came to know about that you have, you can say an interest for the poetry as well. So next time, maybe you will come up with a book of poems also.
Yes, consider it ready because there are a lot of poems that I've written and there are a lot of couplets that I write on social media and otherwise in my phone, in my notes as well. So poems and generally couplets or Hindi, shairi, something like that. So there are a lot of things that I keep writing, but I never write those to get published. But yes, just in case I feel like publishing them, it is a ready material. I'll just get it edited once and it will be ready to publish.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's great. So, see how, during this journey of our writing, we also evolve as writers. We also, learn so much, and we also know all those, we also come to know about all the hidden talents which are there inside us, which
Yeah.
otherwise we might not be aware of.
Yes, and even if we are aware of, we don't generally share with anyone.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
with because now I am a writer, there are a lot of things that I can share, maybe in the form of fiction. So I don't have to tell people that this is who I am. I will write that will satisfy my inner self, and I don't
Yeah,
have to tell
that's more
people that this is
important.
who I am. Yeah, and they'll read and they'll read it according to a reader. They won't take it as something written about me. So if I have written about this character Otham, if he responds in the form of poems, if he observes the nature and he predicts what might happen in future, that is what I like to do. But I keep it to myself. As a writer of a book, I have been able to write it out. I have been able to vent it out. So that is
Right.
what writing has given me.
Absolutely. And normally, Mubarak, when we talk to the writers and we talk about their journeys, we talk about the food for thought or the food for the soul, something that quenches the thirst of the soul of a writer. So, what is that for you?
Well, I am not a regular reader. I'll tell you. My food for thought is positivity. I love to be around positive people. I don't like to go out to parties or clubs. I don't like to hang out at crowded places. If you'll see me hanging out, you'll see me hanging out with like-minded people or my friends. Even if a friend is visiting Chandigarh, I'll ask him to come home. Or if we'll visit a place, it'll be a good cozy place where there's not enough loud music. Where so I love good company. I love positive vibes. I love to talk to people. I love to listen to them. So that is what is food for thought for me. I That is what I love. I don't like loud music or I don't like wasting time on unproductive things, non-productive things. So I am someone who is totally made for productive things. So I love to be around people. I love to be around positive people, and I love to be with my family. I'm a very family oriented person. There are very less people of my age who love to be at home, who love to cook, who love to
Absolutely.
do who, who love to help their mother in kitchen, who love to help their father in any other work that I might be required in. So I'm a person who loves to do things at home. I love productive things around. So that's my food for thought.
We can very easily feel the positivity around on this show as well, the one that you have brought along with yourself. So I can feel that, and I have met you also personally, so we can feel that, and we have experienced that positivity and optimism which you carry along. So where do you get all this from? Like, you've been so a person who's full of gratitude, a person who's full of optimism, who only looks at the good things around him. So where do you get all that, that energy from?
My family is my biggest pillar of support, ma'am. And otherwise, as well, I believe in God. If I have to do any good thing, I always visit Golden Temple, Amritsar. Whenever I release a book, when I receive the first author copy of my book, the next day I visit Golden Temple, Amritsar, and I take that book along with me as well.
Wow.
And that book, which I take to Golden Temple, is always kept aside. Right now, it is kept in a packet in my study. So that is not something that is ever going to come out. That is God's book. So I believe in God. My family is my biggest pillar of support, as I told earlier. And I must say, tough times make us, humble. Tough times make us even more polite in life. I have always been someone who loves to help friends. But then, for past since 2018 onwards, there have been some sort of issues, we can say, or a hard time that I have been through, or we have been through. So yes, these 4 or 5 years have taught me to be even more thankful to God. There are a lot of people around who don't want to see you happy.
Yeah.
Period. There are a lot of people. But I believe I have been blessed with far more people who love to make me happy, who love to make me smile, who love to see me smile. There are some who don't want us happy, but just because of those some, we should not let positivity go away from us. We should be
Yeah.
thankful to God for everything. I always say this to my friends as well, that the resources that God has blessed us with, one lifetime is not sufficient to use all those resources. Whatever
Absolutely.
we have in our life right now, one lifetime may be more than 100 years, it is not enough to use all the resources. Not at all. So we should be thankful to God. There are tough times which we have to go through in our life. But at the same time, we should be thankful that God has given us enough strength and resources to go through those tough times and to find alternatives and to sort things out and return back to normal. So that's what drives me, pushes me, motivates me, makes me positive all the time.
Well, that's lovely. I'm sure that those who are listening to you are getting a lot of inspirational things from you. They are listening to so many positive things that you're sharing with them. And it's very important to look at the positives also, rather than only concentrating on the negatives which are there in the life. Because if you're concentrating only on the negatives, you are never going to change your circumstances. You're never going to evolve. Never going to, change the situations for you. Of course, by looking at the positive, you have that gratitude that there are so many other things also. अच्छी चीजें भी बहुत है, तो हम सिर्फ बुरी की तरफ क्यों देखें? अच्छे को वो अहमियत
Obviously,
क्यों ना दे जो उनको चाहिए, right?
exactly. And see, I started one company in 2015, the second company in 2016. Because of COVID, I had to shut down both the companies. So, something that we start with all the passion and zeal and with so many dreams in our minds. After 4 or 5 years, both the companies were gone. And now that hard time is very, very hard to face. It is very easy to say in one line that I had to shut down my
Yeah.
company. But think about the first word that we write in order to get our company registered, in order to formulate all the rules and guidelines. And then we start things up, we build a team, we start doing projects, and suddenly it's all gone. So it is not easy to go through. Similarly, there have been other issues. Similarly, there have been a lot of other hardships. But again, as I said, what I am today is because I came out of those hard times and God has helped me Himself. I always feel that God is with me. Whenever I face any kind of difficult issue, any kind of difficult time, I feel that God gives me alternative Himself. That's the reason I always feel
Right.
that nature talks to me. Nature talks to me. I always feel that. So that's what has made me what I am today. And I'll be happier in the times to come. So now, the times that I have been through, I don't think anything can break me now. For example, recent these days social media life is also equally important.
Yeah.
So I recently someone mass reported my Instagram profile. I started it in 2014 or 15, and now after 7 or 8 years, suddenly my profile has been disabled and deactivated. I tried a
Okay.
lot of things so that I can recover my account, but I believe it
Mm-hmm.
is gone. So for 1 or 2 days, I was shocked. Come on, why will someone do that to me? But then after 2 days, I thought, see, God must have had some good plans for it. So they
Yes.
were good enough followers, they were was good enough reach of that profile. But now that it is gone, so what? I am a person who loves to be in reality. I don't restrict myself to social media. That's another thing that is important in life, but that is not life. That's gone. There are people who make profile, and once the profile is gone, they feel depressed that that was what my life was all about. But that is
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
me.
It
Within
happens.
3 or 4 days, yes, within 3 or 4 days, my that particular worry or stress about my Instagram profile is gone. I have made a new Instagram profile. I'll keep connecting with people again whom I was connected with on social media only. So I'm someone who looks towards positive side only.
That's nice. There's always a blessing in disguise. Whenever these things or anything wrong happens in life, there's a friend of mine who recently had a word with me regarding all these things. I was discussing something, and he said that just because of few bad people in your life, don't make yourself bitter. Try to make yourself better. So there's a very a slight difference between bitter and better, but this is what we have to choose. We have to choose either the bitterness or the betterness. So I think that's a very nice thought also, Mubarak, that you have shared with all of us, that life is not just restricted to the social media or any other hardship that we have faced. There are many more things beyond that. So we need to look over to them also. So that's lovely. At this age you're having such a you can say the maturity level or the way to accept the things, that perception is there in you, that maturity and that understanding is there, that how you're going to accept the things. And I've seen that in the youth, these things are somewhere declining. So, and even for the love for literature also. So, how do you think is the best way to motivate youth to have some fondness for literature?
See, social media has given a lot of good things as well, I would say, but at the same time, social media has deteriorated a lot of things as well at the same time.
Absolutely,
So
that's true.
reading is something that we feel is reducing. It has reduced with time, and we feel that but I think the other way around. I know a lot of youngsters. I know a lot of people who love to read. There is
Yeah,
a cafe here, Cup and Kitab. There are books in that cafe which are kept in the form of library. We can say there is a shelf specifically for books. There are hundreds of books over there. And while sitting there, while having a cup of tea, I have seen a mother who brought her 8 years old daughter to the cafe just so that she could read books over there. So there are
that's
parents who motivate their children in such a way. There
yeah,
are children who love to read. She met me and she said, I also want to become an author in future. So there are people who love to read. It's just that maybe we are not we are surrounded by lesser people who love to read, and because of that we have made that understanding that maybe people have started reading less. Social media has a lot of impact. It with just a scroll of a finger, you just hold a phone, scroll a finger, gone, and there's something new that you are watching. So this
yeah,
has affected our, I believe, mental health too. Patience level has reduced with time. Everyone wants something new within 5 to 10 seconds. You
yeah,
watch a new reel, you see the song, you hear the song, you see someone performing. Within 2 3 seconds, you know whether you would want to continue with the same video or not.
yeah, and you
With the
move on
scroll
to
of
the other.
finger, exactly. With the scroll of a finger, you will find something new. And in such an era of social media, it is very difficult to restrict to one story and write it for 5 years. I completed my first book for in 5 years. So if I can do it, there are others who are doing it as well. My niece, she's 17 years old. She has published a book of poems last year. So
That's
there are
great.
others. Yes, we are a member of Chandigarh Literary Society, and we meet such people. We meet youngsters as well because of that. And yes, and you asked about how to motivate youngsters to read. I believe it has to start from the academic institutions. When we are studying in school, there's a lot of focus totally on studies.
Right.
There's homework, there's everything that is happening. I believe till plus two, we are made to study, and yes, we do study. But a general habit of reading books is not formed. We are totally
Yes.
lost in the syllabus that we have to complete. So there can be an activity in school which can be continued later on in college as well. That in 1 month, a student has to read at least one book, and he has to tell the teacher that this is the book that I have read, and this is what I have read in the book. That can be a
Right.
short book, maybe 50 pages, maybe 100 pages. We can keep a tenure of 3 months. We can, just like there's a semester, there are I believe three different units terms in school. So in 1 year we can break the 1 year into 3 months, and a child can be given, a student, any student can be in, he can be a school, maybe in college. In 3 months he should be given that 3 month period to read one book. If he reads even one page in one day, he can complete the book of 90 pages in 90 days, in 3 months.
Yeah.
A small book can be completed very easily, very, very easily. So this habit has to be formed, and it is not just for the sake of forming a habit. Books teach us a lot. By just
Yes.
reading a book, we can roam around the world by just reading the book. We can get motivated. We can learn new things. So we get everything from books itself. So that's a kind of activity that I believe can be done. It is not at all a difficult activity, not for schools or colleges to implement, not for students to follow. So this one activity I believe can motivate and the students to read, and can form a habit in them. They'll start enjoying it with time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that consistency has to be maintained. That is very important. कि एक साल किया और वे छोड़ दिया ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. It should be, a continuous process of learning for the children and for the, the management also. कि आप करते जा रहे हो. You're not leaving it anything in between. So that's
Exactly.
important.
Till 18, we are around 18 years old when we complete our plus two standard, and then 3 years for graduation, and then let's say 2 years for post graduation. So
Right.
till the age of around 22, 23, we are going to schools or colleges. And if till the age of 22 or 23 we are reading at least one book in 3 months, with time we'll definitely form a habit of it. We'll definitely
Yeah,
start loving
absolutely.
it. And we don't just get motivation from what we read. We get motivation when we hear from others as well. Let's say I read a book today and you read some other book, and after 3 months I tell you this is the book that I have completed and this is what was there in the book, and you will tell me about your book as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
your book or your story might motivate me more than what I've already read. So I'll think that
Right.
that's the book that I want to read next, and I may complete it within 1 week or a few hours. I can read it over the weekend.
Yeah.
So this particular activity or any other similar activities, we are just brainstorming over here. We have just randomly have answered a question, but there's a lot more thought that can be put on this, and it has to be put on this. It has to
Yeah.
be thought of, and youngsters must be motivated to read books.
Absolutely, you are absolutely right, Mubarak. And Mubarak, before ending the show, I really want to share some tips also with our writers who have started writing, or maybe who are there in the process of writing, or who have started, penning down their books, their poems, and all these things. Just any tip that you want to share with them.
Ma'am, I always share the same tip with most of the people around me, in most of the talk shows as well. Whoever is writing, the first thing is they have to continue writing. What happens is there's a break sometimes when we feel that I'm not able to think further, and that
Right.
break can be a very long break. That break, that one thought that I'm not able to write further, it can take you long for months or even years. So it is very difficult to come back to the same flow of writing later on. So first thing is writing should be consistent, and then second thing is we should take guidance from the seniors around. Initially, I had no one to take guidance from. With time, when I started writing, there were people with whom, God made me meet. Nature blessed me with a lot of people around who knew how to write. After completing the book, I got a lot of guidance from them. My first book and even my second book, it was released by Mr. Vivek Atresar. He's himself an author, and he
Yeah.
has guided me a lot. He's the one who guided me to become a member of Chandigarh Literary Society as well. His book is always here around me. I'll just show you. Just so his book, it's still a wonderful life. It is always around me. It is always here on my table. I read a few pages sometimes on and off. So such people, we should reach out to such people. We should seek help. We should seek guidance from such people, and we should never hesitate to ask. Life is meant to learn. Learning is an ongoing process, it never ends. No one can say that he or she is perfect. So, why to hesitate? The person from whom we'll be asking, that same person might be taking guidance from someone else as well. So, that
Absolutely.
is my tip to everyone. First thing is writing, you have to be consistent for writing. We should keep on writing. And those who have started, they should be consistent. And those who have not started, they should start right away. Once we start, there's a flow that we make. And then once we complete any part of the story or the complete story, and later on, we can always edit and proofread the story or the first draft. But the first important thing is to start. Second is to remain consistent with writing. And it is even more important to seek guidance, to take guidance from the seniors around who are very, very well experienced and learned in this particular field. And that is what has helped me till date. And I am very much sure that it is going to help the others as
That's wonderful, Mubarak. It was really, really great talking to you. It was such an enlightening session that we had with you, and a very positive one also. So, thank you so much, Mubarak. And we really wish that you write more and more books in the coming future. And your books are always the bestsellers there in the world. So, congratulations for you to you for the second book also, and hope you will do much much better there in future also. So, thank you so much, Mubarak, for giving us your time and sharing all your views, all your experiences with us.
well. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Great. And thank you so much, audience, for staying connected. Thank you so much for always there to cheer us, to welcome our guest and listen to them, to listen to their experiences. And I'm sure we all, have some takeaways from each and every session, each and every talk show that we conduct. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great evening. Stay blessed, stay happy, and keep smiling always. Thank you.